And China, for quite some time, has been harvesting DNA from people all around the world, including Americans. Much of this done through buying up companies that store genetic data, providing testing products that collect DNA, setting up research labs, and more. Critics are concerned that the data could be used to further the Chinese regime's plans to boost its military power. Here are the details.
China is collecting genetic data on a massive scale. It's under the guise of biotech services and genomic studies, and it's happening more and more on U.S. soil. Some warn that the data can serve the Chinese Communist regime's aggressive military schemes. Now, the U.S. appears to be making moves to counter it. The most recent dealt a blow to China's largest biologics outsourcing company, WuXi Biologics. The company makes vaccine ingredients. Earlier this month, 2 subsidiaries of the company were added to the American government's unverified list. The Commerce Department says that's because they couldn't verify that WuXi Bio is using their U.S. exports in a legitimate and reliable way. That means American firms are now required to go through more procedures before shipping goods to these companies. What is WuXi Biologics and how does it concern the U.S.? The company was founded in 2015 in China. It's been expanding in North America and Europe over the past few years, with 3 U.S. locations: Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. It's also planning to build a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in Delaware, a project that'll get partially funded by American taxpayer dollars through government grants. Last year, WuXi Bio bought a Pfizer manufacturing plant in China, which gave it access to some of Pfizer's data. And when it was first founded in 2015, WuXi Bio bought a stake in American DNA testing company 23andMe. But how are companies like WuXi Bio expanding so fast? The short answer is Beijing, specifically its state-owned investment fund. In it, over $1 trillion. Since 2017, much of this money has been flooding into American biotech companies as part of the Chinese Communist Party's strategic plan called Made in China 2025. The plan identifies biotech as a strategic industry that qualifies for substantial government funding. Consequently, Beijing has allocated $100 billion for investment in the sector. In 2019, half of China's investment in the U.S. went to health, pharmaceuticals, and biotech sectors. And last year, Chinese drug makers filing for FDA approval hit a record high. These expansion efforts are likely tied to China's military through a state policy called the Military Civilian Fusion Program, launched in 2016. The program looks to boost China's military through adapting civilian technology for the defense sector. In 2017, China launched the world's largest human genome research project. Now, that program may go beyond the Chinese border and threaten U.S. national security. In an interview with the Epoch Times, China economics professor Dr. Antonio Graceffo mentioned one specific case, one where Beijing could collect DNA from American soldiers.
There was one case in particular where specifically it was a fertility clinic which was located within reasonable driving distance of 6 American military bases. So the idea was probably the CCP wants to own this fertility clinic, and then all the soldiers, and they're married and whatever, they're coming there for fertility or for paternity testing and things like that.
The CCP's goal shows no sign of slowing. Its DNA collecting efforts now have expanded across the globe. And at the center, China's Beijing Genomics Institute, or BGI. The company is closely linked to the Chinese military. And in 2013, it purchased Complete Genomics, a California-based company that holds genetic information on U.S. citizens. Last year, a report exposed that BGI had harvested genetic data from over 8 million pregnant women in at least 52 countries. According to Reuters, China has long considered genetic data collection as a national security issue. Since 2015, Beijing has restricted foreign researchers from accessing gene data on Chinese people. In contrast, the U.S. and Britain give foreign researchers access to genetic data as part of open science policies.